Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Anu Sabata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I'm Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, University of Ghana confirms new cases of COVID-19 in its immediate vicinity, raising concerns about the possible large-scale resurgence of the virus. Well, we're here from the experts at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research on how the situation can be contained immediately. Stay with us. The minority in Parliament takes on the Bank of Ghana over the mass termination of appointments, demanding an immediate reinstatement and urging a legal redress. We unpack the issues. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Also, we have an update for you on Professor Christopher Amiao Ekonfi and Solomon Asamoah, who are standing trial in the SkyTrain project scandal. Stay with us. Also, development in court today, as always, including what's happening in the latest with the new Patriotic Party flag bearer race. That's one other person was also added on to the list of many who are not too happy about the party's National Executive Committee decision exactly a week ago to move the flag bearer elections early to the 31st of January. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Bridge.
The majority in Parliament has approved the appointment of 7 justices nominated by President John Mahama to the Supreme Court. These new justices will join the existing 13 members of the court, bringing the total number to 20. The approval process, however, was boycotted by the minority in Parliament. The newly appointed justices are Justice Senyo Jamefe, Justice Dennis Dominic Ajay, Justice Biel Simon Surbare, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, Justice Janapari Battels Kojo, Justice Hafisata Amali Boba, and Justice Kwekuteria Akabuafo. The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo, says child trafficking is still a grave concern which undermines the integrity of children and their future, stressing the need for national, regional and global responses. Bernard Ahiafo was speaking at an Inter-Parliamentary Union workshop on human rights for MPs in Accra.
Child trafficking continues to be a grave concern, one that undermines the dignity of our children, robs them of their future. It is a problem that transcends borders, therefore requires coordinated international, regional, and local responses.
The new Patriotic Party has directed the immediate cessation of all caucuses or associations of present and former party executives and government appointees holding meetings with presidential aspirants, which breach the party's regulations. It is not clear why the party has issued this directive, but flag-bearer hopefuls of the party, including Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and Kennedy Ejapong, have been holding meetings with members of parliament, former MMDCEs, and former parliamentary candidates, raising concerns among the rank and file of the party. A private citizen, Henrietta Nanaya Simpson, has taken legal action at the Supreme Court, challenging the appointment of COP retired Nathan Kofi Boakye to the Ghana Police Council. She argues that the council should have only 10 members as stated by law, and claims Boakye's appointment was made unilaterally by the president without proper nomination from the Retired Senior Police Officers Association. She is asking the court to remove him and have ACP retired Florence Arthur, the elected president of the association, appointed in his place. The Health Services Directorate of the University of Ghana has cautioned the university community of a recent resurgence in COVID-19 cases, with a few suspected and confirmed cases reported in the university immediate vicinity. The University Health Services Directorate noted that, in light of the development, all staff, students and visitors are strongly advised to remain vigilant and to strictly adhere to the following recommended preventive measures to reduce the risk of infection and community spread.
It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. As always, we're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, also on live on 3news.com. And as always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Qualcomm Tuntum Preco. Coming up next, there's a lot happening within the New Patriotic Party in the run-up to the presidential primary election next year. And we're just going to lay the basis and the foundation for a conversation we're going to be having later on the show. But then again, as we do know, the NPP has directed the immediate cessation of all caucuses or associations of the party presenting themselves and having meetings with persons who are mulling the idea of contesting the flag bearership of the party on the 31st of January 2026, as has been communicated by the National Executive Committee of the party. As we do know, there are 4 individuals so far who have given strong indications, others who have declared their intentions as of today. Brian Champong, Dr. Brian Champong, is the latest to have declared his intention to contest the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party. He's a Betifi Member of Parliament, former Greek minister. And he today went to the Presbyterian Church leadership to pray for him. And then after that, he spoke to the media, indicating his intention to contest the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party. And you recall, about a month ago, he commissioned a committee to go around the country, engage with members of the New Patriotic Party, and then he says that's really what has formed his decision to contest the flag bearership of the NPP. Dr. Brian Champong, well, he spoke to the media after these prayers that the Presbyterian Church leadership offered him as he decided to contest, and this is what he said. Take a look.
Has been made that I will contest when the party opens nominations, but to do that as a product of the church, it will be a disappointment per my tradition for the moderator of the church or the Presbyterian General Council hears it for the first time on radio. So before a formal announcement is made, I thought it was wise to come and inform the General Council and the moderator of the Presbyterian Church that this is what I have set out to do. And so when they hear the announcement, then that is it. But most importantly, though, to seek the blessing, I want to start with God and then finish with God. The journey, I'm a politician. We know how treacherous the political journey can be, and God is a requirement for a journey like this and a requirement for life. And therefore, I needed to see the church and seek their blessing and prayer and continuous prayer whilst I start and embark on this journey. A month ago, I set up an exploratory committee. A week ago, they brought me their report with review the report largely aligns with what I set out to do. There were a few things that I also have to align with the party and then with the aspirations of the country. But as said, the important point is that the conclusion of the report suggested that there was a need to have a different candidate that can galvanize the party, unite the party for victory. There was also a need for that candidate to be able to demonstrate and give hope to the young people of this country that through their vision they're able to create jobs for the youth of the country, provide security and revamp the infrastructure of this country.
So that's Brian Achampong there, former Minister of State and Interior Ministry. He was then also appointed as a Greek minister in the dying days of the ex-Wale Akufo-Addo administration. Is a Betifi member of parliament. That core message that he put out after the prayers by the Presbyterian Church, as you saw in the television right now, is that based on his committee that he set up to go and engage with the party members across the country, he says, the committee says the party needs a fresh face, a new person to lead the party as flag bearer going into the 2028 elections. And that's why he's decided to contest. But, well, we'll see how the coming days will look like. But while he was at it, the party also issued a statement, because exactly a week ago, when the National Executive Committee of the party then put out that communication that January 31, 2026 is the date that they're going to elect the flag bearer. A number of things has happened over the period. We've seen the former MMDCs meet Kene Japong, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yesterday, and then they declared their support. Another group came out and said, look, we are part of the former MMDCs. We are not part of those who have declared our support. There's a whole lot going on. Sitting members of parliament, over 60 of them went to meet Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia last week. The party says there's a lot going on. They need to pull the brakes. So this is the statement they put out, and we'll put it on the screen right now. They say, to invite all personalities who have so far publicly declared their intentions to contest in the forthcoming NPP presidential primary to join a meeting, that's a joint meeting with the Steering Committee and National Council of Elders. The meeting expected to discuss matters of mutual interest is scheduled to take place Thursday, July 3, 2025. That's one big takeaway from this statement they issued earlier today. So all these persons who are publicly declared, and so far we do know Brian Achampong, and then Kennedy Ejapong. Also, we do know Dr. Yawose Aduchum, and then strong indications Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as well, even though he is yet to publicly declare. There's no doubt that he is going to contest as flag bearer for the NPP with all the engagements that we have seen so far. Well, so Thursday, July 3 is a date to watch. But we are also aware that there was a meeting today with the celebrated economist Kwame Pianim in there as well, and Joe Gate and others, and Kennedy Ejapong, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was there, and then Brian Achampong was there as well in that meeting earlier today, and it's been described as Kwame Pianim now offering to guide these persons as they seek to lead the party as some sort of an advisor. So then the second point in the letter that the MPP put out today is that they referred the Bono Regional Chair, Kwame Bafo, alias Abronye, to the party's National Disciplinary Committee for breaching directives of the National Council, cautioning him to refrain from making unguarded public comments, directing that the immediate cessation of all the caucuses or associations of present and former party executives, government appointees holding meetings with presidential aspirants in breach of party regulations. So what this essentially means is that with what we have seen over the period with the former MMDCs and the current members of parliament, the minority MPs in this 9th parliament, meeting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and then also the former MMDCs meeting Kene Japong and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they say it's against the party's regulations. And so now they want to check that breach of the party's regulation. And so they want that stopped. And the party wishes once again to remind members their constitutional obligation to protect party unity, to abide by and publicly support the party's decisions, and to refrain from engaging in acts that threaten party cohesion. That's Justice Justin Kodia Frimpong, who's the General Secretary of the MPP. Now, if you look at that third part of this portion of the statement on the screen right now, they say that even if you are a party member and you disagree with the decision that have been taken by the National Executive Committee, don't come out publicly. Would rather you publicly support the party's decision and refrain from engaging in acts that threaten party cohesion. Well, even before this statement could sink in, one person who clearly is not happy about the party's decision to elect the flag bearer on the 31st of January, a one-time flag bearer hopeful, Kwabena J. Japong, addressing some party members at a meeting, did not hide his disagreement. He indicated that he made a suggestion which he says has been twisted to mean he supports the bottom, that's the top-down approach that the party is taking now. Take a look.
I was one of the few people that committee no friend me say oh me propose am the buy no o ma hwe ye pa na ade na me das. Ti o wa kai me nim say ade o ma fa ni na che say ade ma dwene ho pa say ye de bebu apart. Oh, o ma accept former constituency chairman, former regional, former national, former MPs, former ministers, former DCs ni na. Police station o mo do so ho no mo ye adwuma. E ho de manti ni ye. Di me sorry o meeting na mu say Tina manti ni ye ana say o mo say oh yeah progressive expansion na ye the two become e mo say two no one and na ho aso na ba point o ade mu system na nkrofo say enye na e de trouble aba eni braba yemfa adadafo no meka ho omo de nyame na ma point o ma che na ma ade no enye more inclusive enye complete, people will feel a sense of belonging again. And then it is a more democratic arrangement, more reflective of the base of our party. Yet me no sadia. Let's see a presidential candidate no first. He said the mechanic. No. Oh, say na agenda for oh ma fa presidential the news. Kwabena Japan says top from bottom. This is my motto from bottom. My bottom from top. Me can say the current situation in woman division say ya bano. See it need be ye to say the mechanic and I put it in fine print and I sent it around. That's right. It was clear say after we have achieved the expansion of the electoral college. And so no more than I did. Now, a binum crass, Minam Kofabaye, and I wouldn't say them. And be a seminar dream Panama de buy. Man, Tiasi. Party is so funny, say, to say Nipani penny. We are dear crown, now you know, you are dear junior papa, no big junior boniama. So, auntie, you call meeting, and I make sure that 2 1 for say. Yen concentrating on expansion no and no here party for no. Na yema message of expansion no mo enko out. Na entere bia ye national delegates conference. So honestly person take a decision for the presidential leyina. Yenye. Oh, bia nyantu. Omo si yenye ne dia. Enti ye meeting no. Enyema party no na yanti. The only thing that everybody is talking about is the presidential primary, the 31st. Meanwhile, it's not the date of the election, but those who are going to be part of the electoral college. And only here. Intermediate between now and 19th to make campaign.
So that's Kwabena J. Japan there. It says really what is needed for the party is not the date of an election of a flag bearer, but also more important in his view is how to deal with the electoral college matters, expansion of the electoral college to achieve that all-inclusiveness, the reflection of the base of the party. That was the basis for his proposal, which he says some agenda people twisted and sought to put it out there that he supports this decision for the top-bottom or the top-bottom approach that has been taken now to elect the flag bearer before the national, regional, constituency elections takes place. Now, this is a matter that is a rolling stone. It's evolving in many ways. So the coming days is one to watch as well. But we'll just stay the steam on this matter a bit. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. But coming up next, there's an update for you on Professor Christopher Amiao Ekomfi and Solomon Asamoah, who are standing trial in the SkyTrain project scandal. This is one that we've been following quite closely. There's a lot that happened today. And look, it's interesting how the twists and turns of this case is really playing out. But lawyers of the former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Amiao Ekomfi, they filed processes at the Accra High Court seeking to stop the criminal case against their client over what they term as premature. Now, Professor Amiao Ekomfi, together with the former CEO of the GIF, if we call Solomon Asamoah, they have been charged with multiple offenses in connection with the failed Accra Sky Train project. Some $2 million was lost in that one. And the Attorney General is going after them to have that money retrieved. My colleague Dennis Wadam Esquire is with me in the studio. We have an update on this case and what happened in court earlier today. Dennis, good to have you.
Always a pleasure being here, Alfred.
Fantastic. What do we know? What's the latest to this?
Well, so today was for case management. In a sense, prosecution together with the defense and the court will reconcile all the documents that have been filed to check to see if all the parties have the same documents, and that will set the ground for trial to begin, where prosecution will begin to put its witnesses into the box to testify, cross-examination and all that. However, before that could start, the defense, especially lawyer for Professor Amiao Ekomfi, tried to draw the court's attention to a motion that had been filed before the court. And that motion was to the effect that they want the matters before the High Court stayed because they had referred parts of the matters there to the Supreme Court for some determination to be made. Essentially, when you look at what they have, they are seeking for an order which they want for the striking out of the action against the accused person. In their view, the action is premature, for which reason they are seeking an order for same to be struck out. They also say that it's in violation of the legal precedent imposed on prosecution. They also contend that there is a constitutional interpretation matter to be dealt with, and to think that the High Court does not have jurisdiction to interpret the Constitution, and the law requires that any time such a matter arises in the High Court, proceedings should be stayed for same to be referred to the Supreme Court for interpretation. That is the nature of that motion that they sought to move before the High Court, before CMC, which was for today's business. However, the judge did not allow that to happen, essentially because the processes in her view had not been done with. That is to say, there was supposed to be some service and all that. In any case, the business for today was supposed to be CMC. So in effect, that did not happen, even though the judge addressed it briefly and explained why that could not happen. Alfred, away from that, now CMC, like I earlier explained, largely has to do with documents.
So by CMC, you mean the Case Management Conference?
Yes, the Case Management Conference. Documents. Let's reconcile the documents. And it's at this point that you get to know who is testifying for who and in respect of what. But we here on Ghana Tonight already have done a lot of work on this. At least beforehand, we've been able to indicate who the prosecution, some of the prosecution witnesses were, at least 4 of them, and the areas of their testimony, which will be coming up in the coming days. However, it turned out that there are more to the 4 that we put up. There are more to the 4.
I see.
So today, the prosecution actually put up 8 witnesses. It is also instructive to know that some witness statements were also withdrawn. And we'll begin to look at some of those ones and those who are testifying, who are they and what are they going to talk about. We also indicate whose witness statements have also been withdrawn.
Interesting.
Yes,
Let's
so
get into it.
This is Francis Sabuaji. He's the lead investigator, staff officer, National Investment Bureau. His area of testimony will be in relation to activities, including interviews and documents and review of the contracts, also verification of relevant documents and establish some facts surrounding the transaction. Mind you, this whole transaction has to do with the GIIF going into agreements in respect of matters that have to do with the construction of what has now become the Accra Sky Train, which never happened. However, we parted ways with money, and the project has not been done. In respect of that, the 2 persons standing trial are held accountable for that purpose. Now, there's supposed to be some transactions, some contracts and all that. This person is the one who has looked into all that and is making the testimony.
I see.
One thing that happened in respect of his was to the effect that, yes, there was a witness statement that was filed on the 2nd of June. That was withdrawn and replaced with another, which was filed on the 16th of June.
I see. There's some 8 days
additional
away.
information.
Okay.
Yes, so another witness in this will be Yvonne Odelesowa. She is a board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund from the period of 2017 to 2021. Her area of testimony will be whether or not the documents in respect to the Sky Train were submitted to the board and whether or not the board approved any disbursement of monies in this. Mind you, the key allegation in this is the fact that the money was dispersed without the approval of the board.
Yeah.
While the board chair, who is Professor Christopher Miakumfi, insists that there was an approval for same, the CEO, former CEO, also says that there was approval. These persons will also come and testify as to whether or not there was an approval in respect of that. We also have Nana Efua Chewa Ababiu, also a board member, within the same range, 2017, 2020. She's a banker by profession. Her area of testimony also will relate to whether there was even a formal request from GIF management itself to the investment committee, a subcommittee for consideration of the project. That is to say, before a project is undertaken, there's a subcommittee that needs to do the work.
Yeah.
Her area of testimony will be whether or not there was even a request from management to go into such an arrangement. Also, another person will be Cecilia Gambra, also a board member, the same period of time. Area of testimony, whether or not the board approved any funding for the Sky Train projects. And this is in respect of the $2 million we're talking about.
Right.
Now, the additional witnesses that we got to know today are the rest of the board members. Mind you, the board has 9 members, including the CEO and then the former board chair. So this is the rest of the board members. They are also coming to testify, largely in respect of disbursement, whether there was approval or not, whether there was even an approval for the project itself in the first place. So we find Yao Damidonkwa, a former board member, Andrews Ejenimboateng, Honorable Chwenibua Kodia. This is a member of parliament. He happened to be on the board. He's also going to be a prosecution witness in this particular matter. And finally, you have Kofi Boachi, also a former board member.
Not the Kofi Boachi we know.
No, not him.
I see. Okay.
So this is the list of the witness statements that were withdrawn. So we begin with Benjamin Nati. Benjamin Nati is supposed to be a chief finance officer of the GIIF. His witness statement, for some reason, has been withdrawn. You also have Seth Kwame. Seth Nana Kwame. Seth Nana Kwame is also an officer. He is in charge of investment and the procurement unit at the GIIF. His witness statement has also been withdrawn. You have one inspector, Kisi Akresi. He's a detective chief inspector. His witness statement has also been withdrawn. And key is one Benjamin Okai, chief financial officer at GIFF. His witness statement has also been withdrawn. So these were the 4 witness statements that were withdrawn. and then the 8 went in. So, but for the withdrawal of the 4, prosecution would have been dealing with 12 witnesses in this particular matter.
But if you say their witness statements were withdrawn,
yes.
What exactly does that mean?
So what it means is that they will not form part of the body of evidence that's going to be used in prosecution. So
they offered their statement, but
yes.
Then it has been withdrawn as a result of what? Do we know?
Well, there was no much explanation done. Because, I mean, liberty to withdraw a witness to execute a case. You file your witness statements at the point before CMC. You choose which ones you want to rely on and which ones you do not want.
So these are witnesses who volunteered information to the Attorney General?
Well, that we wouldn't know. But what we do know for a fact is that these were witness statements that were filed before the court.
Right.
But of course, for the fact that there was a witness statement that was filed on their behalf, it presupposes that, yes, they agreed to be part of it.
To be part of
that does not also mean automatically that the fact that the witness statement has been withdrawn means that the witnesses are unwilling to cooperate. Like I explained, it is down to prosecution to decide which witness statements they want to rely on and which one they do not want. So at this point of case management, they say, okay, we are withdrawing these 4, and then we are putting in the 8. In any case, you also look at the case of the very first one, that the key witness, that's in respect of, sorry, let me show you that, the NIB officer.
Yes.
In his case, his witness statement, the earlier one was withdrawn and then replaced with a new one. I mean, all those things are allowed at this level. The most important thing is that furnish the other side, furnish the courts. Let's know which ones you want to deal with, and then we'll take it from there.
No surprises?
No surprises at all, not at this point.
Interesting stuff.
But the other one too, which is also key, is also the question of whether or not that application that they are seeking to refer the matter to the Supreme Court for the determination and its likely outcome. Because an outcome is likely, and in fact, if it is granted, it means that the case at the High Court will have to be stayed until a determination is made at the Supreme Court for us to come back to continue.
That will prolong this case a bit further.
Exactly
and
so.
Ghanaians will have to wait, unfortunately. Dennis Mawere, I appreciate you for this, as always. And this is one that we're keeping an eye on. And so stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Whatever happens with all of these cases, the Gemfi case and all the others, we would update you on it. But there's something that happened in Parliament today. That's coming up next. The minority in Parliament, the Gemfi case and all the others, we would update you on it. But there's something that's coming up next. Take termination of appointments, demanding an immediate reinstatement and urging a legal redress, as they want the persons who were affected by this decision by the central bank to lay off staff to go to court. Well, and test the law on this matter. We're going to unpack the issues today. Well, earlier today in Parliament, the minority addressed a press conference, in their words, condemning the decision by the Bank of Ghana to lay off a number of staff. Now, the media reports are reported to 100 and over. But this is what the minority says, that this is a violation, in their view, of the labor law, and that they are asking that these 100 staff of the Bank of Ghana whose appointments were terminated should be reinstated, or these affected staff should seek legal redress. Take a look.
Article 24 of the 1992 Constitution guarantees every Ghanaian the right to work under fair and satisfactory conditions. Article 23 further requires public institutions to act lawfully and fairly. The Labour Act 2003, Act 651, particularly Section 64 and 65, lays out clear grounds for termination: misconduct, incapacity, or redundancy, none of which apply here. The minority in Parliament stands shoulder to shoulder with these workers, and we will not waver. We demand: 1, the Bank of Ghana must restore every single dismissed worker to their rightful position without any further delay. Their appointments were lawful, their terminations were not. The governor of the Bank of Ghana must face Parliament and explain this heartless abuse of power. You are not above the law, and you will answer to the people. We call on the Chief Labor Officer, the National Labor Commission, and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, to intervene immediately to protect these workers, uphold their rights, and stop this lawlessness. To the Bank of Ghana, you have broken the law, betrayed your mandates, and wounded the trust of our nation. You cannot hide behind secrecy or power. The people of Ghana are watching, and you will be held to account. To the dismissed workers, you are not forgotten. Your pain is our pain. Your fight is our fight. The minority in Parliament stands with you, heart and soul. We will not rest until your jobs are restored.
Well, so that's the Member of Parliament for the Savalogo constituency there. So it was clear in her words, the Bank of Ghana has violated, they've broken the law. And she cited a number of the laws, Constitution, the Labour Act, but these are their demands. The minority in Parliament you saw address the press there. Immediate reinstatement of the dismissed staff. The Bank of Ghana should be hauled before, the governor should be hauled before Parliament. The action from Labour authorities needed. Urged the dismissed staff to seek legal redress, a full parliamentary inquiry into the dismissal. But we saw the letters that were written to these affected staff. Portions of it we're going to reproduce, and it's going to be on your screen right now. This is it. It said, in accordance with the terms of your contract of employment, a satisfactory 6-month probationary period was to be completed. Management regrets to inform you that your appointment cannot be confirmed. This assessment was based on considered performance outcomes, alignment with bank's values, and the potential to contribute meaningfully to its strategic objectives. So the core aspect of the letter communicating the decision by the central bank is that a satisfactory 6-month probation period was to be completed. But then after the assessment of the probation period, the management said, well, your appointment cannot be confirmed. Austin Game is a celebrated labor expert, is joining us right now on Zoom. Mr. Game, appreciate your time. What law has been violated in this instance, especially taking into consideration this particular aspect of the letter? And you heard the minority indicate clearly that the governor of the central bank and the Bank of Ghana have violated the law, and they have to be hauled before Parliament to answer questions. Mr. Game. If you could unmute for me. Unmute for me. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, Alfred, to your listeners. Honestly, I think it's the work of minority in any parliament across the world to be seen to be protecting the interests of people in any given country, including Ghana. So I'm not surprised to that extent. So I am not faulting them for that. But this is purely an industrial relations and HR management issue. Honestly, as a first step, maybe they could have found out who made a requisition. Did any head of department in Bank of Ghana make a requisition to the HR that they would want to employ people? That's number one. Two, let's assume they made requisition. Obviously, if they made requisition and the people are employed, they would definitely be on probation. And normally, it's between 6 months to 9 months in certain circumstances, some even 1 year. Now, every organization has a workload that they will require a certain number of people to do the work. And so therefore, if you are on probation and at the end of the day, you did not prove your merit to be considered for full-time employment or any form of contract of employment, obviously, the employer simply will not go under 65 in this case. Section 65 is specifically about severing legal working relationship with people who already are working in an organization over a certain period of time, and their roles cease to be available, maybe through availability of new technology and some innovative work, that your roles may not be required again. Then you will be severed legal working relationship with you. Then you come under 65(4) to be paid redundancy pay. I think they might have not consulted well and said that they violated 65. No, 65 has specific measures. And therefore, if the people are on probation, they rather come under 66. People who are employed on probation do not qualify to be treated under 65. That is the law, and that's the practice. And so I think they messed it up. They messed it up a little bit. They should have maybe talked to somebody to guide them. They are lawmakers, all right, but it doesn't mean you are HR expert. So I think that they mess it up a little bit. Probationary people are not laid off under the banner of severance and paid redundancy pay. When the time is due, your performance will be reviewed. If your role is required to be part and parcel of the organization, you will then be given official contract of employment after your medical examination. Then that will be it. I understood that people are over and above 200. A number of people have been retained because maybe they were found meritorious and therefore might have been given some appointment letters. And so I think that the minority to recheck their position well, and if they need any help, all of us are available.
Well, the point you make is that, per your understanding of the details of the Labour Act, the Bank of Ghana's action does not violate any aspect of the Labour Act, for which reason the minority's call wouldn't have legal basis?
Certainly, if it is the people are on probation, as you read out from your letter, then they are not qualified to be treated under 65. They will be treated under various other options, including 66, because you are not a permanent worker of the organization. You are working to be considered for permanency. And in this case, you are on probation. Probationary people have a specific treatment under HR practices and industrial relations. That's the way they are treated. So I think they missed that part of it. If there is any permanent person who had worked, as I heard other people saying, for 18 years or so, and the person had been laid off either mysteriously or by any means, that person would have been, if it is not a criminal case, if it is not a grievous error that will necessitate you to be dismissed without notice under Section 33 of the Labour Act, then you properly will be treated under 65. In this case, it's about probationary people, so I think they have messed it up.
I see. So if they say they want the governor of the central bank to be hauled before Parliament to answer questions of this particular decision that has been taken, are there any questions for the governor to answer at all from where you sit?
Well, under normal circumstances, labor-related matters are not necessarily for employers to be hauled before parliamentary committee or subcommittee or the whole of Parliament. There is a setup. The National Labour Commission is established to superintend over such matters. And therefore, if anything, I heard them talk about National Labour Commission. Labour Commission can be proactive in inviting Bank of Ghana if they so wish, but the people who are affected, if any of them feel that his right have been violated, they can go to the Labour Commission. Indeed, even if they come to me, I'll look at the documents they are holding and advise them whether they have any case that they can prosecute. If they don't have any case, I advise them they should just ignore it and forget and look for job elsewhere. But for now, from the little I've heard, it appears they are being misdirected. Labour Commission don't need to go after Bank of Ghana. And if I went to the Bank of Ghana, I may not be responding to this anywhere else, as the case may be.
Mr. Gama, and very quickly before I let you go, there's this general concern about overstaffing across a number of the strategic public institutions. And in this case, we've seen the Bank of Ghana, and then also the increase in the staff cost at the central bank from about 2.3 billion cedis in 2023. And then as of end of 2024, the staff cost at the central bank shot up to about 2.9 billion cedis. And then for Ghana Gas as well, the Ghana Gas company, we got information over the weekend from the CEO, Madam Judith Ajuba-Blay, that the staff, in fact, they are overstaffed. So they would have to do a staff audit and take the necessary decision. Take a look at that.
At Ghana Gas, we are about 1,290 in number. This is the staff strength. I needed to establish that because I know that honorable members are interested in employment. So I needed to really say this first, that Ghana Gas is seriously overstaffed. At the time in 2016, we were 250. And then between 2016 and now, Ghana Gas staff strength is over 1,200. Ghana Gas's core mandate or core work.
Mr. Gama, you hear this. Between, as of 2016, the staff strength of Ghana Gas was 250. Now they are over 1,200. So between 2017 and now, it shot up to by over 1,000 staff. And then we saw the period that the Bank of Ghana also had a number of people employed in there. How can this be checked? Because that's clearly a problem, as we're seeing play out now.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing we have been imposing upon taxpayers in this country. It is most unfortunate that people who are well educated are the people who misbehave towards the people of this country this way. Let me be very clear with you, to you. Now, by practice in HR management, every company has a workload, and therefore they take a number of people so that the allotment of the workload given to them will be spread in such a way that nobody carries too much weight, and you will not carry underweight also. So it's quite a problem in this country, even in some private companies, and very, very widespread in governmental agencies, where either political office holders will deliberately overstaff the place, endangering the company's existence. And that's why they are not profitable. That's why they are not doing well. And so, who made a requisition? Which head of department made a requisition that they want to employ X number of people?
Right.
And which HR justified it? I think that is a mess. And if they have to do a quick audit and get people off their back before it's too late, the better for them.
Well, Austin Gama is a labor expert. Thank you for joining us. Now, this is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next after this quick break, there's some concern. The University of Ghana has confirmed new cases of COVID-19. Well, you thought it was the virus was away. It's been with us all the while, probably just suppressed. Well, University of Ghana says COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in the immediate vicinity, raising concern about the possible large-scale resurgence of this virus. Stay with us. We have an expert, in fact, the head of virology at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, joining us after this quick break. Stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful elegance look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paints because with just small paints, I paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paints with it well researched and solid guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior height, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era,
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, the Health Services Directorate of the University of Ghana has cautioned the university community of a recent resurgence of COVID-19 cases. Well, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. With a few suspected and confirmed cases reported in the university immediate vicinity. Now, we're going to put portions of the statement on the screen right now. It says the Health Services Directorate would like to inform the university community of a recent resurgence of COVID with this few suspected cases. It goes on to say that in the light of this development, all staff, students, and visitors are strongly advised to remain vigilant and strictly adhere to the following recommendations or recommended preventive measures to reduce the risk of infection and community spread. 1, wear face masks properly, especially in enclosed or crowded spaces. Wash hands frequently with soap under running water or use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Maintain physical distance of at least 1 meter where possible and avoid large gatherings unless absolutely necessary. Ensure good ventilation in offices, lecture halls, and meeting rooms. And stay at home if you experience any flu-like symptoms and seek prompt medical attention. So we got back to the university campus, and one of our colleagues there, an intern with us here at TV3, Eric Biadela, who interacted with some of the students, his colleagues at the University of Ghana, about this news this evening, and this is what they had to share with him. Take a look.
I heard it from TikTok, but I've not been following it, but I know of it.
Yeah, I also haven't been actively following, but then I've heard it's coming back. Yeah.
So I would like to know then, have you been vaccinated?
Yes, I have.
No, I haven't.
So how prepared do you think you are for an outbreak personally?
I'm not ready for an outbreak.
I'm not prepared at all. It shouldn't happen.
Okay, so if there was to be an outbreak and the university were to move back to what they did, very strict protocols, online classes, how do you think you'd be adapting to that? How well do you think you'd fare?
I'll be so pissed.
It's going to be very difficult. I mean, nah.
It shouldn't come back again. That period was stressful.
And the online classes and all of that, nah.
It's not effective.
Okay, currently no, it's past, so I just dump it in the past. Which means you are not aware of any resurgence or any noted resurgence that the university has communicated?
No.
Okay, so have you been vaccinated?
Yes, when it came at first I was, but I don't think I will again because I heard this diabolic.
So why were you vaccinated in the first place?
I didn't know anything about it, and then it was like, if you don't get vaccinated, you cannot travel. You don't get vaccinated, you need green card or you look or something, blah blah, a whole lot of it. So you just clear all those kind of things when traveling or doing anything. I just had to get the vaccination. I think in my school it was compulsory, so they forced us to get the vaccination. So that was how I got with the first dose. But second dose, I said, well, I will not do it.
So in the event of an outbreak, how prepared do you think you are?
First of all, I didn't expect an outbreak again because Pastor Chris told us COVID-19 is gone and it's not coming back. So,
well, so is that last point? This is a student, and our colleague Eric Biadela speaking to his colleagues. He's still a student at the University of Ghana, speaking to his colleague students at the University of Ghana, Legon. And the last point that the gentleman made, that's a student saying he had a pastor say that COVID is gone, it's not coming back again, So if there's going to be any resurgence at all, he's not heard of it. He doesn't even want to hear of it. But the university has just put out this notice and urging the community, including the students, to adhere to these protocols. And Professor Joseph Humphrey Kofi Bonny is an associate professor, head of Department of Virology at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research at the University of Ghana, Legon. Appreciate your time, Prof. I know you got some few minutes to spend with us. But how did this news of COVID cases being confirmed at the university strike you at Noguchi?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Well, I would like to say, unfortunately or fortunately for us, in the Department of Virology, Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. We are mainly the outfit that are testing for these clinical specimens that are suspected for these respiratory infections, and we are confirming it. So we know about it already. So it did not come as a surprise or a shock. Maybe we're just waiting for the people in the university environs to be giving that caution for us to go back to the protocols that we used to use, mainly when we were at the height of the pandemic, that is the COVID-19 pandemic. So it was not a surprise to me because we have been seeing this increasing numbers from April. I mean, it was not overwhelming from then. We were just having isolated cases and going up a little. So recently, when one of the halls had, I think, a whole week, and we had a number of suspected cases coming in, quite a number. And after the testing, we realized that almost half of the number that came in as suspected were confirmed to be COVID-19 samples. In other words, SARS-CoV-2 positive.
I see. So you started monitoring these cases as far back as April at Noguchi. So it's just fair to say that, well, the COVID-19 never really left us. The virus was probably, in your view, from where you sit, suppressed, at least for over the last 2 years, is it not?
I don't think it was announced anywhere that COVID left us. It's a respiratory infection and we can get it anytime. Just that the numbers decreased drastically. But, Noguchi has been doing this sentinel surveillance activities for respiratory infections. So we have areas that we pick people who show these symptoms, and we test whether they are influenza or anything other than influenza, which is respiratory. And like I said, over some few months now, we have been seeing isolated cases of SARS-CoV-2 coming in. Then all of a sudden we had this spike. So, like I was saying, it's not new. COVID never left us. Numbers went down drastically, but now they are picking up. Fortunately for us, when we do the testing, we go beyond the normal qualitative testing to know whether it is positive or negative, to do the sequencing, to know what kind of strain is also circulating. And we know that we have Omicron, and Omicron, we have so many subvariants. These Omicron, they are highly transmissible, but less severe. So we're not surprised to see that spike all of a sudden with the numbers we had recently.
And I do appreciate your thoughts on this and a bit more detail on this matter as well, and caution to the students out there to adhere to the protocols. And Legon is an open community, and so it's safe to say that we should all now adhere to the safety protocols, because the students also sit in trotro, they sit in taxis, Uber, and so the level of exposure is going to be the next phase of the conversation on Ghana Tonight. And I know Professor Joseph Humphrey Kofi-Bonny, you're going to be with us. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will be with you tomorrow as well. He's an associate professor, head of Department of Virology at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, Professor Joseph Humphrey Kofi-Bonny there. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your time. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.